Hello, happy Monday. Welcome back to the channel. As the title suggests, in this video we are going to talk about my top tips for you to realize that your manifestation is actually really close, even if it feels like it isn't. So yeah, if that's something you would like to hear about, stick around. Watch right to the very end, because I've actually got a tip for you right at the very end, which will help you to speed these things up a little bit. But for now, press the subscribe button, press the like button, stay with me, and let's get into the video. So as you know, if you've been here before, you know that this is all about mindset and manifestation and changing your mind to have a better life. But if you're new here and that all sounds good, then stick around, because I love having new people pop up and I get to say hello to more people, and I love that. The best part of what I do is connecting to more and more people. And down below this video you will find the links to all of my social medias and bits and pieces. So yeah, come and say hi to me in there, because I love it. Right, okay. My top tips, my top signs that you're manifesting is actually closer than you might think. So my top tip is that you start to see numbers, angel numbers, manifesting numbers everywhere. Now, if you are like me and you are connected to your higher self and your guides and your inner being and your intuition, there will be certain ways that those entities try and kind of communicate with you. And for me, one of the ways I get communicated with a lot is through angel numbers. And actually what's really cool is that my girls have actually picked this up and they are seeing lots of angel numbers now too. And you know what, I love that, because I love the fact that what I do is actually rubbing off on them, and so they go into their adulthood already knowing a lot about this stuff, and it's fantastic. But numbers, right? Numbers, numerology, numbers are a really big thing in the spiritual realms and in manifestation. And if you see repeating numbers, if you are seeing, the 1111s when you look at the clock, either morning or afternoon, if you look and you see 222, or you might buy something in the supermarket and your bill might come to, $44.44. They are all signs. They are all signs that what you are trying to bring into your life is actually really, really, really close. I have a lot of the things that have been happening to me recently, and if you're not aware and you're not noticing it, you can actually miss it. Like, I can be watching, I watch the football a lot, right? As you can see, I've got my Anfield picture right there over my shoulder, and I will quite often be watching the footy, just involved, just in the game, and I will suddenly glance at the clock that's always at the top of the TV screen, and it will say something like 55 minutes 55, and I'm like, what? And it's like that. That's the kind of angel number or numerology number that you miss. So if you become aware that you are seeing these numbers, don't Google, because sometimes Google can tell you that they're bad numbers, and no number is bad. I just want to put that out there right now. If you're seeing the numbers, it doesn't matter what numbers you're seeing, they are a sign. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is that you start seeing synchronicities. So if you've listened to me before, or you've been on my socials, or you've listened to my podcast, or you've, read one of my books or anything like that, you know by now that I do not believe in coincidence. There is no such thing as a coincidence. So if you are seeing a synchronicity, that's what it is. It is not a coincidence, right? So just say, for example, what is a synchronicity? One of the easiest ways for me to explain this to you is let's just say you haven't caught up with one of your friends, one of your mates for quite a long time, and suddenly they pop into your head, and you kind of go to yourself, oh my God, I haven't seen this particular person for ages. I really must, give them a call or text them. And literally next minute, they're calling you or texting you. That is a synchronicity. That is not a coincidence. If you have brought them to the forefront of your mind and you are thinking about them, and then the thing that you're going to do happens without you actually doing anything, that is not a coincidence. That is a synchronicity. The other kind of synchronicity is, and I've talked about this a lot, so you may have also heard me say this before, is cars. I know that Pam Grout in her book E4 Squared, that's one of the manifesting exercises she gives you to do, and she wants you to look for a brown Volkswagen Jetta. So this is a very similar thing, right? When we bought our little car, our little yellow car, which we call Sunny, I hadn't noticed yellow cars. I hadn't noticed yellow cars anywhere. And then we bought this car and it's bright yellow and we call it Sunny. And literally everywhere we go, we see yellow cars. Literally everywhere. And it's not because suddenly, there are hundreds of yellow cars on the road. It's because you've brought that into your energy field. You've brought that into your attention. So you are now seeing the synchronicities of seeing yellow cars all over the place, because suddenly it's in your field of vision, suddenly it's in your subconscious, and suddenly it's actually a part of you. And so that is another synchronicity. So that is my tip number 2. Now, tip number 3 is that you start seeing your desires in other people. So I have talked about this before, right? I have said that when you want something, when you are trying to manifest something, you may start to see other people living the life or having the thing that you actually want. And the trick here is not to feel jealous, is not to feel like, anger or sadness, or get into that kind of petty, she's got it and I wanted that and that's not fair. How come she has to have it when I've been trying to manifest this for weeks? And, Jane down the road has got the black Santa Fe that I've been writing my dream diary about for ages, and I've been visualizing and I've been going out and test driving and doing all the things I'm told I'm meant to do, and now she's got one, and that means that I'm not having one, and that's not fair, and I'm jealous and I'm petty and I'm in all kinds of like low vibration. Do not do that. And the reason why is because if you start to see other people getting what you want, that means you're really close. It is starting to come. It's like the synchronicity. You're starting to see it. It's starting to be shown to you. And that means that you are really, really close to having it yourself. So rather than getting into the anger and the pettiness and the jealousy, keep your vibe high. Keep upbeat and kind of go, you know what? She's got what I want. That person's got what I want. That is amazing, because that shows me that I can have it too. And I know that because I'm noticing that this person's got what I want, it's really close for me having it as well. So don't get drawn into the low vibration feelings. Take that as a sign that you close, because you are, and that is actually amazing. You might also, just as aside from that, you might also start to hear people talk about your dreams and your desires. Like you could be in the coffee shop, for example. You could be, grabbing your morning coffee and the two people in front of you are chatting about the holiday that you've been trying to manifest. Somebody's just come back from this place that you've been trying to go to, and so instead of you going, that's, I'm really jealous now they've been there, no, actually go, that's fantastic. They are talking about what I'm trying to bring in. They're talking about what I'm trying to make real and make materialize in my life, and the fact that they are talking about the specific thing that I've wanted, that means I can have it too, and that means that I'm really close. One for me, I have to tell you about this because it's a really interesting story, and it will prove what I mean. So I've been doing a lot of work trying to connect to my higher self over the past couple of weeks and months, and my higher self now, I know, is called Beatrice, and she likes to be called B. And I didn't know this back then, and I was just watching Coro, as you do, was watching Coronation Street, right in the middle of, getting these downloads about her and actually trying to connect to her and trying to figure out what her name was. And literally every single episode of Coronation Street, there's a house in Coro, there's a family. I can't even actually remember the names of half of them, apart from the mum's called Aggie. And in their house, she's a nurse. And there's James. James is the son, and he's the footballer, which is weird that it was the footballer's house because, that's also a kind of connected thing for me. But anyway, in their house, on their wall, is a big, massive picture of a bee. And I would watch Coro every week, and I would always notice this picture of a bee. Always, every single episode that I was trying to connect to her, there'd be this massive picture of a bee on the wall in this one particular house. And I, prior to trying to connect to her and figure out what her name was, would not have noticed that. There's another synchronicity, right? That's another synchronicity. I wouldn't have noticed it. I would have just gone, oh yeah, there's a picture of a bee in their house. If I'd even paid any attention to it before at all. But because I was in the middle of this journey of trying to connect and I kept saying this bee, and actually at that point bees kept landing on me as well, literal bees would I was sat in Pack and Save car park. Pack and Save is a supermarket here in New Zealand. I was sat in Pack and Save car park and I had my car window open, I kid you not, about this much, and a bee literally flew in and landed right here, right on my chest, right on my chakra, right? And just stayed there for about 5 minutes. And instead of me panicking and going, oh my God, there's a bee on me, and trying to woo, I just let it be. I let it be. No pun intended. I just let it sit. I just let it be there, and I connected to it. And it was not long after that, after all these signs and all these synchronicities, that I realised my higher self, who goes by the name of Beatrice or Betha, because Betha is the Gaelic or Irish or Scottish name for Beatrice, likes to be called and likes to be known as B. So there you go. More synchronicities within sign number 4 of, just random things that happen when you're trying to call specific things into your life. So anyway, sign number 5, I think I'm on 5. It might be on 4, but I think I'm on 5. Let's just go with it. Number 5 is that you start to actually have obstacles that get put in your path, or you perceive them to be obstacles, or you see them as setbacks, or signs that it's not happening for you and it's not meant to be yours. And this is when you really have to be strong, right? Because you can feel all these bad feelings and you can get really bogged down in that, and you can actually really start to get back into a low vibration and not stay into the energy of what it is that you're actually trying to call in. And if you don't know these things, if you don't know that is actually a sign that it's really close, it can throw you right off track. And the best way that I can explain this to you, and this is what I like to teach to people that I'm actually working with, is that think of a seed, right? Or a butterfly, both brilliant signs and sort of tangible ways that you can think about this. You have a seed and it's tiny and it's hard and it's solid, or you have the caterpillar who goes into the cocoon and it's hard and it's solid and it's inside. And both of those things have to literally break through a hard outer shell to actually be allowed to bloom and flourish into the butterfly. So a seed has to not only break through its shell, but then has to break through the hard ground and grow and grow and grow to actually bloom into the flower. And the butterfly has to think it's a caterpillar, realize that it's not. What the hell has happened to me? I've got this cocoon growing around me. I'm inside this real hard shell that I didn't, one minute I was a caterpillar and the next here I am. And it has to break out and break through and evolve. And once it comes out, it's a beautiful colourful, amazing butterfly. And that is very much like your manifesting journey, your spiritual journey, your awakening, your whatever you want to call it. You have to get through the final hard outer layer to grow, to evolve, and to bloom, and to actually call in what it is that you want. So when you start to see an obstacle, when you start to feel that it's not going to happen, when you break down, when you get to that really low ebb feeling, just know that to go anywhere, to grow anywhere, to evolve anywhere, we almost have to break first to allow the growth to happen. So the obstacles are not obstacles. The obstacles are actually a sign that you are so close and that you should keep the faith and that you just need to keep going, because once you get down to rock bottom, you will break and you will grow and you will evolve and it will happen. It will. So just in that moment, just remember the seed, remember the butterfly, and just know that you have to break through the final hard layer to get to the magic. And then you're away and you're flying and you're blooming like the butterfly or like the flower. So they are my top tips for knowing that your manifesting is close. Actually, there is one more that I just want to say. I want to touch on just quickly at the end. Sometimes when you're at the end of manifesting, and I think this is tip number 5, sometimes when you're at the very end of getting something and you're really, really, really close, you just have a knowing. You just get a feeling and you get this super confidence. And no matter what happens and no matter what's thrown in your way, you cannot be thrown off path because you just know. You just know that you're going to get this thing that you want, and you just know that it's going to be yours, and you can't explain why. You've got no idea why. That, you know, you've had doubts in the past and you've had to break through all these layers, and suddenly you just have this knowing and you have a massive amount of confidence about it. And that is actually, again, your higher self, your intuition connecting to the sign, to the universe, and actually feeding you the confidence because it knows, right? The higher version of you, the future version of you, your intuition, your inner being, that part of you knows that you are going to have this because it was part of your soul contract and it was part of your life's journey, and your inner being and your higher self, or whatever you want to call it, knows your life because it's mapped out before you even come onto the earth. And so that part of you knows you can have this, and it's full of confidence because it knows, it just knows that you're gonna have this thing that you're trying to call in. And you as a physical being don't actually know that yet, but that part of you, that soulful part of you, knows because it's seen it and it's seen the contract, and it's super confident that it's all going to happen. And so that when you get that knowing, when you get that confidence, that is that part of you actually connecting into the universe and feeding that message to you as your human you. And you get a knowing. You literally, I can't call it any other word. You just get a knowing and you get super confident that it's going to happen because you just know it will. So that is also a sign. So that's my top 5. And my tip, which I said I was going to give you, is if you are struggling with any of this, or if you are stressing or looking for an easy way to just add a practice to bring you closer to all of this, always, always, always revert back to gratitude. And I know I've talked about gratitude a lot, but always, always, always come back to gratitude, because when you are grateful for things you already have, you open space to be shown more and more and more things to be grateful for. So if you can feel gratitude even in the harder moments, even in the breaking down, in that final, when I'm talking about the seed and the butterfly, if you can still stay in gratitude in those moments, you'll actually come out of the depths quicker, but you'll also be shown more and more and more things to let you know that it's there. You'll be shown more angel numbers, or you'll see more synchronicities, or you'll start to notice other people having the thing that you want. So if you can stay in that attitude of gratitude, actually it will get you to this much quicker. So that's all I wanted to say for this week. If that has been helpful, share it with other people, like and subscribe. Get me out there. Get more and more and more people knowing about how to do this stuff, because we were not put here. We were not put here on earth at this time to live a mediocre life. We were here to shine and to flourish and to have everything that we want. And the more people that understand that we actually can have everything we want if we follow these principles and these practices and actually get some belief in this stuff, the better a world this will be for all of us. For all of us, because it's the ripple effect. One person does it and passes it on and passes it on and passes it on, and we make a ripple all the way out there, and then everyone's doing it. And then that just means we're all living the most amazing lives that we were actually sent here to have. So please like and subscribe, and please share me around, and please come back next week because I'll have more for you then. But for now, that's all for this week. I'll see you next. Bye.